And we are back. And tonight we are talking with Riverbend Paranormal. And the group we got tonight is Ricky and Josh and Shawna. Uh, T-Dog, that's Tim,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah.
And Jamie. So, guys, good to have you here tonight. Thanks for coming in with us here. And
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
hopefully we'll have a nice, fun talk tonight. Now, what I normally do is I start out with a very simple little question, and
Oh, no.
this is for viewers that don't know you or haven't seen your website or anything like that. So we'll start with Ricky, and we'll work our way to Jamie. What got you interested and started in the paranormal?
Back when I was about 13, I had saw my first full-bodied apparition at Chickamauga Battlefield. So that kind of really sparked it as far as getting into investigating it and trying to get answers. Growing up, even to that point, I was hearing and seeing things, but I always thought, it was just my imagination until I actually saw that. So that's what really did it for me.
Interesting. All right, Josh, Shauna.
Okay.
Go ahead first.
All right. Well, I mean, outside of just growing up and just experiencing things, noticing sounds, I mean, pretty much anything that anybody else probably experienced, and I just question it, and I like to know things. I don't know. It just doesn't seem outside the realm of possibility, so I just like to play with it. I just happened to be at an investigation with Riverbend, and I just asked if I could continue doing it with them, and here I am.
So for me, I grew up very much around the spiritual world and different things. I've always had spirits around. My family's always had spirits around. It's kind of just something I grew up with. Just joined the team, about 3 years ago now?
About 2 years ago.
But never really investigated before now. Kind of just experienced it on my own, and that was about it.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
As far as I go, I mean, I just never had any experiences growing up as a kid, but I'd always hear stories from friends and family members that had experiences, and I was kind of envy. I was like, man, I want to have some stories to tell. I want to have some experiences, so I start investigating local cemeteries and hiding in places with family and friends, and been doing it ever since.
It's one way of doing it. Cemeteries are pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
I
of course.
I kind of like going into them. And Jamie, how about you?
So my family is from Salem, Massachusetts, if that says anything.
Yeah.
Are you a descendant?
Am I what?
A descendant.
Yes, actually, my family is related to Rebecca Nurse.
Awesome.
So for me, though, like being from that area, but like Ricky, I didn't really see my first full-bodied apparition until I think I was 9. My grandmother's house was a house on part of the Underground Railroad, and she collected lots of antique furniture, and some of the furniture that she brought a Union soldier with it, and he liked to hang out by the refrigerator. That's where I saw him.
Guess he was hungry.
Pretty cool. So, you guys, what are your favorite areas to investigate?
Anything?
We can start with whoever wants to start. Go for it.
Well, we'll actually be at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital Saturday with Brian, Rochelle, and Mustafa. So that's like my number one favorite place out of everywhere I've investigated.
Cool. And Josh, Shauna?
I'd say for me currently, my current favorite is Cheney Mansion out here in Jerseyville. We go out there pretty frequent, so we've kind of got a rapport with the spirits there. And every time we go, it's something new. It's nothing crazy, but it's just we're comfortable there. We know what to do. and it's one we can get to very easy. I know we are going down to Old South Pittsburgh on Saturday as well, so I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a big one. And then we also have Mansfield coming up, so that's another one I'm really looking forward to. With COVID, we haven't really got to many big places. It's kind of all just local little places around where we live.
Yeah, COVID sucked for everybody this year, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just jump in. I guess for me, my favorite so far has been the R Theater in Auburn. I keep feeling something pull me back there all the time. Being that I guess I'm a true crime junkie as well, so I'm kind of into serial killers, and the infamous John Wayne Gacy is supposed to haunt the theater. I've had some experiences with him, so.
Yeah, interesting. You might actually like our episode we did with a friend of my niece's. We talked about Manson.
Yes, he's quite fascinating as well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, Tim. I think you were getting ready to go,
No,
right?
you're all right. You're fine. I was just going to say I enjoy Waverly Hills. Me and the team go there at least once, twice a year. But I am from Indiana, so my favorite location here in Indiana is a little place up north called Crown Point Jail, where they actually had John Dillinger back in the days, and he escaped from there.
Cool.
Back in 1934. That fuels my other love, which is monsters and gangsters. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, paranormal and gangster related. So one of my favorite locations.
Well, Chicago's notorious for gangsters, and so is some of our upper tier here in Wisconsin. We've got an old hotel that's up in the upper tier that's, I think it even still has the bullet holes from whenever they had the shootout up there.
See, that's right up my alley then. I love stuff.
So, Josh, did you have any? You kind of sat quietly there.
Yeah, so probably for me, it'd probably have to be Cheney as well. I approach most things pretty logically, I guess. So if out of all the places I've been so far, there's just been a few too many instances that I couldn't explain. So for me, it'd have to be Cheney. I've heard so much about Malvern. I've got to get back to my neck of the woods so I can get over there.
Cool. So, do you guys ever go out and do any investigations in cemeteries? I know that Tim said he used to.
Still do.
Yep. I do it every now and then. That's actually how, when I first started investigating, how, I got started with my ex-brother-in-law and my sister. Mm-hmm. So we formed our first team based on cemetery investigations and just went from there. It's always good to get a good cemetery in.
I don't think I've done that as an investigation. I just kind of like to explore them.
We have one right up the road that we used to go take walks around, but I've never taken equipment over there or anything. We got a storm rolling in. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay because we're supposed to be getting it here.
They've been doing that on and off all day here.
Yeah. So anything can happen, and we can get an internet bubble. We can have the spirits working against us, and then we've had all kinds of stuff.
Storms will knock my power out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Joe sits out in the middle of nowhere, so when storms come through, we get a little nervous. So, what kind of equipment do you guys usually use when you go out on your investigations?
I prefer video and audio myself. I mean, that's the most trustworthy to me. I'll use a couple of other devices to interact with, but video and audio is my go-to by all means.
Same here. As far as audio is my number one go-to, but I always have my EDI meter and, of course, handheld camera just in case, you can pick up on something, catch something moving. But majority of the time, it's audio. I catch stuff on.
For us, it's very much audio and video too. So we use Wise cameras for most locations we're at. Set those up in each room so we can kind of get notifications when something happens. And then a big one that me and Jamie like, which some people don't really like it, we like to do the Estes method. So we use the SB7, blindfold ourselves, noise canceling headphones, and we get a lot of good stuff through that. But of course, you can't prove what we hear. So
Right.
I think a lot of it, me and Jamie, we can channel very well. So when we get an Estes, like we get a ton of stuff. Other people don't. So I think it's all just dependent on the person that gets in it. Other than that, we really don't use any fancy equipment.
I mean, we've played with the binaural. That was fun, but it was just amplified audio.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I know. I just kind of wondering because I was reading on your website there that Jamie, you and Shawna are both sensitives, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're pretty
So-
sensitive to the EMF. So if we can feel energy
yes.
shifts in the room, and and Shauna gets pretty sick. I don't have that so much as an effect. I usually get the headaches and
hmm So I take it in some of your investigations, you guys came across some heavy EMF areas because I know that if I know for a fact that if electrical systems aren't grounded properly, they will shoot off a heavy amount of EMF.
Yeah.
And so if you guys ran across anything like that to where it's affected any of your equipment or even yourselves.
So I
I
know
think-
we did a private case when we first joined the team, and we were still kind of learning how, and that's kind of how I found out EMF, how I'm so sensitive to EMF. So we did this private location, someone's home, and we went down in the basement, and instantly within 5 minutes of me being down there, I felt like I was going to throw up. I had to leave, go outside. That's when they found out, Josh and one of our previous members, they got the equipment out, and I mean, EMF readers were pinging through the roof, and they'd essentially created a Faraday cage with, those bar neon lights,
Mm-hmm.
the Budweiser signs. Those
Yep.
things throw out so much EMF that they essentially made a cage where they were sitting in the middle of it, and it was frying their brains.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I learned how sensitive I am to it, and kind of how we kind of started realizing how much it can affect a person.
Mhm.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was,
Oh yeah.
that was real world stuff.
Yeah, pretty much maxed out all of our readers. They just kept on going, and then they just barred out.
So have you guys ever
Dude,
come across any places where there is no electrical in the area that you're going to be picking up on to have your EMFs go off, or have yourselves with Jamie and Shauna being able to kind of sense that there is kind of an EMF field around?
I guess another private case kind of worked out in there was a huge I guess HVAC system in the basement that we thought would put off all the EMF, but it wasn't actually registering that high. So we ended up going with the theory of the what are they called? The ley lines.
Mm-hmm.
So because Sean and I would just get nauseous and uneasy, and for me I get very off kilter and the headaches, but all of our EMF detectors weren't really picking up anything strong. So but that house also had a lot of clutter and a lot of things to put a lot of people at unease. Nothing paranormal, I think, was in there.
Kind of look like my desk here.
Oh no, way worse.
Ricky had some real strange EMF stuff going on in Gettysburg at the battlefield. Ricky, you wanna tell me
Yeah,
about
that was actually one of the only times I've ever experienced something like that. I've used millimeters throughout the whole time I've been investigating, and in the middle of nowhere, basically, not in the middle of nowhere, it's in the middle of Gettysburg, but there's no cell phone towers, no kind of electrical interference, and EMF flat. And we were getting spikes. I'm brand new batteries in these things too, by the way. 8.5, 7.5, real high EMF like triggers, and they weren't staying consistent though. It was like they were bursting. So they'd be there for like a second, and then they would be gone, and then it'd be another reading, and it'd be gone. And then, lo and behold, one of the craziest experiences. I'm not the only one that experienced this. The people that I was guesting with actually experienced, but we heard what sounded like a man crawling and grunting in pain, and it was right there in the wheat field area. So one of the bloodiest spots of that battle. So
Right.
30 seconds later, it sounded high pitched neighs that the horse do, like when they rear up. We heard that and like trotting and here we are in the middle of Gettysburg at 9:30 at night, and it's pitch black out. So I can't explain that one.
Well,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
well, Joe and I had a weird experience with an EMF meter. There's a place near us that's called Asylum State Park, and there are no power lines going through it, overhead or underground or anything. This is the actual like Indian burial ground type place. We had his camera and an EMF meter, and we were walking around, and we came up to one of the burial mounds, and the meter started spiking and going back and forth. And I was filming it, and he was holding the meter, and he set it down on one of the wooden steps, and it just kept doing it for about a minute or so. And when he got back to download the footage, the video card was corrupt. It had nothing on it.
Brand new camera,
Brand new camera, brand new card,
brand new battery,
new
everything.
batteries, and yeah, the whole thing was just. That was one of our first experiences with it. So,
Whatever it was, did not want to be documented.
no, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, whatever caused that, it just didn't.
We haven't
want us
had that
even
much
knowing it.
activity each time we've been back. It hasn't been.
Well,
that
we
much.
went back after that, and I had my camera with me at that time, but really didn't get much of anything other than when we were walking one of the trails. I caught the glimpse of a shadow behind us following us, and that was it. So
Where's this at? Where's this at?
it's called Asylum. It's right here in Wisconsin. It's just outside of Lake Mills. It's Asylum State Park. It actually, I believe it was the way they kind of describe it. They describe it kind of like an old Aztec type settlement that was in there. It's right along the Crawfish River. It's a pretty cool place. I mean, we got a lot of interesting places here in Wisconsin. Tons of
I've heard
effigy
good
mounds.
stuff about Wisconsin.
Yeah, we've got tons of effigy mounds. There are a lot of burial mounds.
But
We
the
actually, sorry,
interesting story about Ascalon isn't so much that it's that. It's what they did to the place. There's a princess burial mound there, and somewhere along the lines during the time they dug it up. Okay, and they took the remains to a museum in Milwaukee, and to this day they lay in a storage place. Okay, they didn't put them back, they didn't return them. Native American tribes, and you're talking several of them in the Wisconsin area, have been protesting that museum ever since this has happened, on and off over the years. Legend says because it was disturbed, okay, and they removed her remains. If you stand on her burial mound and you face the stone that they have as a marker, you'll hear her belts that were made out of shells rattling behind you. That's the legend. But the
So
truth
let's
is
go.
her remains are still in the museum in storage.
yeah.
Wow.
And another, I don't know if you guys know this, but another little interesting tidbit: the lake in Lake Mills is Rock Lake, and there are actual pyramids in the bottom of the lake.
That's cool.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
There's
Go
some
down and dive and see
So
him.
let's get back to you guys. Every now and then, I kind of, you know.
Sorry, adding to my dream list.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Next investigation.
no, yeah, we really do have some really cool places up here.
Yeah,
though.
there's some strange and interesting places, and we still have quite a few to get to.
So, I guess one of the other questions I'd have is EVPs. Have you caught any like intriguing, interesting EVPs?
A lot of them last year for me.
Ricky's over here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my go-to. I mean, just a brief rundown. T-Dog had placed a stationary recorder up in the Asylum area of Madison Seminary, and this is by far one of the most creepiest EVPs I've ever experienced and listened to. But it was during the time block, and it was before the time block, wasn't it, T-Dog? Because nobody was up there. I don't think anybody was up there at that time. Not even Jeremy or anybody that was up there.
It was completely empty up there.
Empty, and all of a sudden, up there they kept mental, handicapped women up there, and you know how mentally handicapped people, they can make noises to communicate. Sometimes they can't speak. I think that's what we caught. It's a lot of people are like, oh, it sounds demonic. It's not. I just think that's the only way it knows how to communicate. So it's like this long scream, and I mean it'll make your skin crawl. So that, I think that was the coolest catch we caught last year. But Waverly Hills, in May, we caught a lot of really, really good stuff. As far as there was one time I was up on the second floor getting ready to go up to retrieve a stationary recorder, and I actually caught an EVP of somebody saying, "You're off camera." And to me, that kind of showed, more intelligence, more than residual, because we didn't have any cameras. And how Waverly is. Waverly's known for filming, and paranormal investigators run around with cameras. We didn't have any cameras, so all sorts of stuff. But I'd have to say, also Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, while T-Dog and I were down there, they're not really like super clear, but you can actually hear another man talking while T-Dog is saying stuff down there while we're in Tri-City Clinic. And this is right before I had a really crazy experience. So it all kind of lined up. So I'd say those are my favorites so far as of recent.
Okay, Josh, Shawna, you guys,
close to the top of my list, Mark.
what's that, Joe?
I said Waverly Hills keeps getting close to the top of my list. We keep hearing more and more about that place.
Oh yeah,
my God.
I
More
hear a
women.
lot. We hear a lot about it.
Oh.
I really want
Yes.
to take a nice little trip.
You got to, man. You won't regret it. It's an
Hey,
amazing place.
I've got 3 weeks of vacation this year.
There you go.
If they could find somebody to cover for me.
Right?
So, how about you guys, Josh, Shawna, or Jamie? Have you guys caught any interesting kind of EVPs?
Go ahead, Jane.
I was gonna say the one that I think has been the clearest that we've ever caught was we were doing an ice rink in Alton, and we weren't even trying to do an EVP session. We were actually complaining that the equipment behind us was humming too loudly. We were in one of the equipment rooms, and like, we're not going to catch anything. It's going to be contaminated. And Brian and Rochelle were there, and I think Shawna was in the room, and our teammate Dean. And he's like, well, let's just play back and see what we hear. And we just hear this little boy's voice go, "You don't want to," over the top of all of us talking, like clear as anything. We're like, well, I guess we caught something.
Little guy called you out.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That is pretty cool when that happens. I love my favorite way of doing it is I like to have the video camera and the the EVP with me, and if I can catch the same anomaly on EVP and the audio on the camera, then that's a score for me.
Yeah.
Because it to me that clarifies that there was actually something said, or that it was something that got caught. So
Another
so what's
cool-
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Another cool
No,
one we got when we did Monroe House in Hartford, Indiana. We were upstairs, and we were all in one of the bedrooms, and we had a recorder sitting in like the little kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
It's upstairs, and we got clear as day someone saying help, like whispering it into the microphone.
We got some not so nice whispers from that house. One of our girls got called not such a nice word, very clearly and enunciated too. Was like a maybe that was. It was.
I got a good one out in Hartford City at Will at the Blackford County Jail. Me and a couple of teammates were up there, and we were in a female section of the jail, and the story goes that the female inmates were mistreated and raped and whatever. And we were up there in the female area just asking some general questions regarding to that. How were you treated? This and that. And out of nowhere, on playback after we get home, we didn't hear it at the moment, but there was a creepy female voice. I mean, it sounds like she was pissed and very intelligent. She replied to one of our questions, "Get out," and then paused for a second, then said, "Now." And it's class A EVP. You can hear it clear as day. Creepy, one of the creepiest EVPs I've ever caught, and I've been doing this for almost 20 years, so it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I remember the day you let me hear that. I was just like, "Holy crap!"
It's pretty intense hearing it. And then that she paused and then said, "Now." That was, I was like, it was just amazing.
And she's like, "Get out now."
That is
very
pretty
angry
cool.
woman. Yes, she was very angry that we were there in that area.
See, I have a bad habit whenever I go out and do investigations. If I feel that like if we catch anything on a recording, and I've done this in the past, not pretty much recently, but I've caught stuff when I was younger and doing stuff like this. I've caught like the entities saying bad things towards the women in the group and everything. My bad habit, I actually confront them about it. I'll do what I can to draw them out and confront them. But it's I guess it is pretty much a bad habit. It's just
Well,
I don't like
think
it
we all
whenever
do that
people
at some
talk
point,
mean about women.
right? It's a natural defense, to defend the females, I guess.
Yeah. It is kind of.
Well, Linda, one of our other teammates in Indiana, she, while we were at Madison, I've never heard like an SB11 or SB7 say some of this thing, but full sentences just calling her all sorts of vulgar names, saying it was going to kill her. They get hostile.
Yeah.
Me and Jamie get that a lot on the SB7, where like strings of just cuss words that you're like, there's no way.
There's no way it's going to be on a radio station. Oh.
No,
Yeah.
no.
We have made a lot of things mad and had them, when we've both been in Estes at the same time, kind of calling each other names without knowing it. And
Or when we were in Monroe and whatever was there was targeting Josh. Like, I was in Estes a lot, and I was just yelling at him because I'm just repeating whatever he's saying, and it just did not like him at all.
So basically, you're channeling what the spirit's actually saying at that point, then.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the spirit was able to take over or influence you in a way to do that then.
It sometimes. So when I can tell the difference between when I'm channeling versus when I'm hearing something come through, because if I'm hearing something come through, it goes over a couple of the stations. The SB7's doing the noise, and if it goes over a few of those, that's a voice. But in Monroe, especially, like I felt like it was in my own head what was coming out. Like I wasn't even listening anymore to the radio station, and that was what was coming at Josh. Because he would keep asking questions, and he was fine. You're gonna come at me, I'm gonna get mad, and he was getting mad back, and I just kept calling him name after name after name, and I'm like, sorry.
I guess I get carried away.
Well, I try to repeat how I hear it too. Like Shawna does it very monotone, but if I hear it yell, I yell, and I've scared the snot out of her before doing that.
Yeah.
So Shawna does it just here's the word, and you're throwing the emotion behind it.
Yep.
And like pounding it in.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been screaming at me while she's in Estes, and she's like, I'm just sitting there like, okay. She just exactly how it comes through. She's cracked up laughing. She's like yelled. She's screamed cuss words at me. she's yelled "get out" to where like I was like, wait, why are we getting out? And I jumped up and tried to run out of the room, thinking that it was like she was actually trying to get out. But I'm jumpy.
Wow.
I scream and jump a lot. So
So do you guys ever get any of this on video or just audio?
So the one I did at our theater when I was in Estes, that we have on video.
Okay.
That one was a pretty intense session. I guess I didn't know, but two of the guys on our team, I looked like I was getting ready to run off the stage because it felt like whatever was coming through was behind me, like this yelling over my shoulder at me. And I guess in the way my body was reacting, because I'm sensory deprived, I was moving further and further off the stairs of the stage. So the two guys are coming at me ready to, because it looked like I was going to take off running. So
Wow.
yeah, and
like
most of our sessions we do have on video because we do have we set up a Wise camera usually in every room that we're in. So we do have on camera. We do, if we're getting a good Estes session going and we're in a place that we can go live, we do go live on Facebook.
Yep.
Of course, except for private investigations for homes, we
don't do that.
Yeah,
we had some lives in Monroe.
The only time we ever did it, put ours up is whenever we got the permission from the owner or the homeowners. So, and I think the only ones we did that we put up was Tom and Molly's. Yeah. There's some friends of ours who do a comedy podcast, and we actually did their house, and it's an intriguing little house. A lot of activity in that house. I need to go back up there and do some more stuff for them.
It's an interesting town.
Yeah, it is an interesting town.
I think it had more to do with the town than it had to do with the house.
Yeah, it's a possibility. But no, the reason I ask if you had that on video, because a lot of times the video shows a little different than what you would get with the audio.
Yeah.
So that shows a little more. I guess you'd probably say a little more convincing, or it shows the emotion more than what you would hear in the audio.
Shows the intensity of the situation.
Right. So is that something you guys? So you do pretty much try to document everything that way, then, right?
As much as possible, anyway.
Yeah, I'm a big note taker, so as we're going through, if something happens, I either have my phone and I'll take a note about the time, what's happening, or even notebook paper. I'll take it down so that we can have the video, the audio, and then that person, whoever's had it, we also know what they felt, and we try to piece it all together.
Right. Try to match it all up on the can. Yeah. Yep. So have you guys had any like interesting video, like apparitions show up, or any kind of movement of objects or anything like that on video?
We caught something a few years ago at Waverly Hills on the 4th floor. It was a stage camera, and it appears to be, and a lot of people thought it looked like a child on a tricycle coming from one side of the hallway and crossing the hallway. That's probably the most significant thing we've caught on camera, and that's been a few years ago, but nothing much since then.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, because I like to debunk my own stuff. If I get anything I feel that is possible evidence, I like to try and go through and try to figure out what would have caused it, or what would have made it seem that way.
Got to.
And a lot of times I try to recreate it and see if it does anything different.
Right.
So is that something that you would do, or?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, if we have the opportunity to get back at that location to try to recreate the same thing, but unfortunately, sometimes like Waverly Hills is not like we can just go back there the next day and say, "Hey, we come."
Yeah, but Waverly Hills has such a reputation that everything is different no matter what time of the day you're there.
But we as well, we try to debunk as much as we can. And if you see something, if we are posting some kind of evidence, then we've done everything we could to debunk it and try to rule it out as whatever for we even, put it out there for everybody to see. And we rarely do you see us put evidence out. That's how much we do debunk and try to discredit stuff before putting it out there.
And we are definitely the same way. Like so Josh is very, like you said, he's very logic. Everything has a reason. So anything that happens, and if me and Jamie are like, oh my God, did you see this? Did you feel it? Josh is like, the AC turned on, or, so we're like emotion and like feelings. Josh is like the very technical, by the book. I've got to test everything and I've got to do this. And he'll do it. If something happens, maybe first 5 minutes in there, if it takes him till the end of the night, he will try to debunk the entire time to try to figure out what it is.
We were up in Ashmore Estates. We're doing just hosting a public event just there to, facilitate, what was going on. And I was outside with another member and we heard a scream. Well, actually with you as well.
Yeah.
And we heard a scream from inside. So Shawna naturally takes off running. And I don't move.
I was running inside. I wasn't
toward the scream.
Toward the storm.
I was running toward.
You're running towards where the activity is.
And I stood there thinking like, okay, well, I hear laughing as well. So like someone's not hurt. So like someone probably just got spooked. Well, Shawna comes downstairs and says, you have to go see this video. So I went upstairs and they showed it to me. Basically, there's a girl and her father that were upstairs just, doing their thing. And I guess she had her cello up there and was just like, well, the story goes, there's some kids on this floor. So maybe if I play music, they'll start doing stuff or something will happen. And they'd set up like blocks on the piano. And she starts not but maybe 30 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. The blocks just tip over as if they've got like a rod driven through them. They all move in unison. It's kind of nuts. So I was like, okay, well, vibrations, we'll see what we can't figure out. I did all but I hit that. I had to basically almost break the piano to get those things to budge. I was like, I don't think a little bit of vibration in the air was enough to walk these things off. And even still, they were at an angle. So
right.
That's been the only piece of evidence I think that we've got on video that I couldn't recreate it. There was no way, I just have no explanation for it.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's a pretty solid piano there too at Ashmore Estates on that. Yeah,
right.
It is. It's a huge piano.
So you did everything, including walking across the floor, seeing if there's any loose floorboards or anything like that.
Oh yeah, we came back out a week later or so, and we turned on music next to it. We
were jumping up and down.
Jumped up and down. I tried stomping next to it. I tried moving stuff around it.
We tried moving the piano.
Yeah, tried moving the piano.
What kind of piano was it, I guess? That would be another question.
Oh, it's not a grand
roll top piano.
Yeah. Tim, you know
big, huge. Right? Yeah, it's a big, huge roll top piano.
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be every bit of 1,000 pounds.
Oh yeah, those things they're heavy.
Yes, I've moved a few of them, throughout my years. They're
yeah, I hip checked the thing, and they just weeble wobble. They didn't do anything.
That's it. Yeah. And the way they were stacked pretty decently, or
they were stacked perfectly going up, based on what I could see in the video. Okay, but the way that they were sitting was actually at like they were walking uphill, because the covering for the keys was raised a little bit. So you'd think that if vibration did start to, I guess, affect it.
If it was vibration, it would have fell this way. It fell, all of them, 4 blocks fell completely this way.
Right. So they would have had to walk uphill for vibrations to walk them, and that's fine. But the fall pattern didn't make sense to me. Now, granted, I don't have like a PhD in physics or anything like that. So, maybe it's one of those things that I just don't get it, and that's totally normal. But as of right now, it doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, I love it whenever there's that kind of evidence out there. It is so cool. Because it just to me it solidifies that everything is real. That what we're trying to accomplish with what we do with the investigations and catching evidence and stuff. It shows that the that the paranormal and the metaphysical are real
Hmm.
or is real.
Or at least can't be dismissed.
True,
Yes.
true.
Exactly.
So there has to be something there. There's way too many people that is experiencing things that there has to be. It absolutely has to be something there. I don't think everybody's going insane, are we?
After this COVID
You never
hit.
know.
Slowly. Slowly.
Yeah, the quarantine made me go insane.
Oh God,
That's
yeah. But see,
Having fever so bad.
I don't know about you. Well, Josh and Shawna and Jamie, you guys probably didn't get to quarantine much, did you? Being on a military base.
No, we quarantined.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of working from home. Like I'm still teleworking. A lot of people are half shifts. They go on 1 week, telework the other week, just to try to not create such a big footprint so people aren't taken out by
Right.
COVID. Um,
See, I didn't get to quarantine. I'm considered an essential worker because I deliver dry ice.
Mm.
yeah.
If anything
So-
would have popped off, I would have been considered essential, but nothing
Yeah.
did. So,
So I got to go out and do my job every stinking day.
Yeah.
So what's on your guys' bucket list that are coming up next?
The Conjuring House.
Yeah, I like that place. I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
That or
Let's see,
Pavilion
that-
Island.
Conjuring House. Let's see, that's down in Roanoke,
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I know
Yeah, that's-
coming up, so we've got the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital this weekend.
Okay.
The following weekend, we're joining some other groups, a few of us, and going to Mansfield. For us, the Illinois folk, we also have another private case coming up during the week. Can't talk too much about it right now. We'll see what happens after.
Mhm.
You know, we're joining the Indiana team for Waverly in May.
Yep, May 27th.
Yep.
Yep.
And then
Monroe in June for us.
Monroe in June. Yep, we are going back to Monroe in June. And that's kind of all I think we have on the books right now, but
You know, my husband went to a doctor's appointment and potentially got us a client. He came back and was like, so this lady said,
It's always awesome. People know what you do, and they're like, "Hey, I got
Yeah.
something for you."
Well, that's kind of what's happening with us on Saturday. We're going to meet up with the owners of a Irish pub over in Watertown where Joe lives, and that all came about because I got talking with a woman when I went and got my cell phone.
All right.
She knew the owners of the place, and then Joe went and got an upgrade and talked to the same lady.
What a coincidence!
And then I made a phone call to the bar.
Yeah, so then he made a phone call. The place is
But-
pretty interesting. It's a 3-story building, and I think, if I remember right, she said that it used to be like a dance hall in there
I
on the
don't know.
3rd floor and something else.
We'll find out Saturday.
So
It's a secret.
I just want to get to Malvern Manor. Of all the places that I've heard, the only one that I like have to go to. And I just every time it's either something's come up or it's been rescheduled or something. So that's my thing.
I got a
Yeah.
question.
go ahead, Joe.
You already answered this earlier today. I'm going to ask our little panel here. I was watching a documentary the other day, and for a long time, I've been trying to debate this question, try to figure out, is it real? Is it based on some reality, or is it a hoax? I'm talking about the house in Amityville, New York. So what do you think? Is it a hoax or is it real?
I don't
The
know.
house out there, is that what you said?
Yeah.
The house in Amityville, New York, the one that
The one the movie Amityville
Name.
Horror was made after? Or
Yeah.
supposedly
I was actually
based on?
I was actually out there last year at the Abbeville house with
Okay.
the team up there that we were networking with. I obviously we didn't get in to investigate it, but they did multiple investigations there throughout the years, and I mean, yeah, there's a crazy story to it, and the story is obviously true, but from their experiences there, I would say no, that it's not haunted. We spent a little time on the lake side of it, behind the house one night doing some EVP work. I mean, obviously we're outside, but we really didn't get anything significant. I mean, it's more peaceful than anything. The one time I was out there and had the opportunity to go check out the house, not going in, but it's pretty peaceful to me. I wouldn't say it's haunted. That's just my opinion. My opinion only goes so far.
Well, the reason I was asking is because I remember a long time ago hearing stories that, it came out that it was all a hoax, for 15 minutes of fame, and you're
Right.
talking back in the 70s. And back in the 70s, a lot of things were easy to hoax and get away with because the technology wasn't quite what it is today, of course. But yet, they've got this documentary and they're saying, well, this is true, and the Lutzes and, and all of this, and they're talking to the Lutzes and they're interviewing them. They're making it look pretty real. And I've seen mockumentaries before. I still don't know what to think myself. I mean,
now, did it have activity at one time based on everything? It might have had activity at one time based on the history of the place. I mean, I think Lorraine and her husband, did a lot of work there back in the days. But I mean, and that's another theory: can a place continue to be haunted for years and years to come, or at some point does it stop? So
Right.
I guess.
I
Well,
just say it's
sometimes-
always in the evidence, if you investigate it.
Yeah, well, and sometimes when something so heavy happens there, people, when they go in, whether they know fully the story or not, oh, this happened here, and it, exactly
the
right.
mind plays a trick on you.
Yeah.
You can create your own paranormal activity.
Of
Yeah,
course.
actually, yes. That's one of the things that why I don't like some of the places like that are really hugely publicized. To me, that would just
reason that's been
kind
based on that house over the years.
it would mess you up. You expect to see stuff.
And then it really makes things look bad because you got one hand, you got the stories out there saying it's a hoax, the other hand saying it's real and everything happened. Nobody knows what to believe for sure because there's not any real proof out there.
Right.
But it
I
makes
know
the rest of
Shawna-
us look bad because it makes us look, oh, you're just chasing,
I
a
know.
bunch
Well,
of
Sean and I try not to do too much forethought or research sometimes because, like Ricky said, you put a thought in your mind and now it's there and you can't ignore it sometimes.
The only research I want to do is find out the age of the property or the age of the place itself.
Yep.
And pretty much how long the house or building has been there, and what may have been there prior.
What has been there prior is probably even the more important part, because a lot of the times, a lot of what I've seen, it's not the actual building that's haunted, it's the land. And something happened years ago.
Yeah.
The ice rink we did.
Right.
Why is the ice rink haunted? There's no tragedy there, but if you dig back years before, there was a train crash, I believe, that happened right there.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that the ice rink, nobody got ran over by the Zamboni?
Not in any research we can find.
That's right.
I typically like to go in blind. What I mean by that is like not knowing too much about the place, especially the stories of the hauntings and stuff like that, because I've learned, like I said earlier, it's if you put it in your mind, you're going to automatically think, oh, this happened in this room, so this is what should happen.
Exactly.
And you could create so much negative energy. It's just better to go in and basically explore. That's how I like to go in. Open mind, explore, and just, let the building talk to you. That's
right.
Well,
Yeah,
most of what we start to get is when we're just messing around, talking to each other about something, and then we're like, wait a minute, something's starting to happen.
Or when you're not
The
prepared.
place we just played games.
Right.
Yep.
Mm.
Because they get, if you look at the big locations like Waverly Hills and all the places, that have been on TV and the thousands of people that go through there in the year, they're asking the same questions every night.
Yep.
And if there's any sort of intelligent spirit, they're going to get annoyed by that. I mean,
Yep.
That's why I just go in and have a conversation like we're talking right now, or and not even really pay attention to the haunting. Treat them like they're alive because they were alive at one time. I've got better results that way.
Well, yeah.
You get
And-
people getting asked the same questions over and over just about how your superstars or your actresses and actresses. It's the same thing, they get asked the same questions. What was it like working with so and so? What was it like with that movie? What is it? Come on.
Rhetorical questions.
I've got a real life too,
Do you like bacon?
Well,
That's the number one question.
That's the weird thing, though. Some of these spirits, they actually don't even realize that they are past.
Hmm.
And so if they're seeing different people each day and they get the same exact question asked to them, I can see where they get annoyed. But then again, like Shawna was saying earlier, it could be the land that has the activity that's attached to it. It could be the building that has the activity attached to it, and it could also be something in the building that has the activity attached to it. Like the Annabelle doll
Hmm.
that the Warrens have. Now, here's a question for you: would any one of you touch that doll or hold that doll?
No, Jamie would.
I'm with her, by the way. I would actually give that doll a hug because that doll needs a hug.
I'm like of the mind of like, I don't think anything would happen, but like, what if?
What if exactly? What if that 1%? It would be my bad luck.
I'm with you.
No, seriously. I don't know. Is it a demonic spirit that actually inhabits that doll, or allegedly inhabits that doll, or is it just an
a
angry
grumpy
spirit?
person sick of people talking to it, so it's grumpy.
Well, if it's a grumpy
That's-
dude,
that's what I-
You got
That's-
People
stuck.
hold meters in front of his face. It's like
But that's why I said that. I would give that doll a hug. It
TLC,
needs
tender
a
love and
hug.
care.
Kind of like Robert the doll. Now,
Now,
Would
I don't know that I
any
would
of
try to hug
you-
Robert the doll.
would any of you
Done that
touch
with
it?
a Chucky doll?
What's
I
that, Joe?
mean,
Would you have done that with a Chucky doll? Giving it a hug?
What's wrong with the
I
Chucky
take the
doll?
Chucky doll. A straight up field goal kick the Chucky doll. My sister scared me of that when I was a kid. I don't like dolls because of it.
We had a good guy doll when we were kids, and my dad used to
Mhm.
torture us with it. So any dolls, I'm just no.
I'm the same way.
I got one.
Proves it
video.
dies.
Yeah.
Was it that doll island? Like that's like my
Oh.
nightmare.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there.
That is down in Mexico, actually.
It can stay there.
Josh Gates and his crew, when they were doing Expedition Unknown, or no,
Mhm.
it wasn't that one. It
That
was
was
another
Josh
one that he
Gates.
was doing.
No, it was still one of Josh Gates' things.
Well, it was one of Josh Gates' things, but I don't remember if it was Expedition Unknown or something, or the other one he was doing. But him and his crew went down there, and there's this metal shed that sits on that island.
Yeah, and he took a doll for
And and that was one of the things. You're supposed to take a doll with you if you're going to visit that island, because you have to put that doll on that island.
It's a sacrifice.
It's an offering. Not
Yeah.
a
do you
sacrifice,
accept
it's
this
an
doll?
Take the doll, not me.
Well, the legend goes that a little girl drowned in the water near off the island, and that she loves dolls. It was her doll that fell in, so that's why the dolls are there.
Oh, it's a sort of sign
people-
of respect.
Right? Yeah, a sign of respect and also a gift to her.
Oh,
So
So he did that his entire life basically from that point on, didn't he? Collecting dolls for her.
it was just I'm not sure about that, but I know that the island itself is just full of these dolls,
one person.
and
then
supposedly they
down
caught one of the dolls move on its own and close its eyes, which is
That's like the room at Cheney Mansion in the little kids' room with the dolls that are on the bed. And you walk in, and I'm just every time I'm like, Josh, look at it. It's gonna look at you.
Those dolls make me scream. The creepy old like antique ones. My sister, she used to collect them. So I fell asleep in her room one day, and she had them sitting on a balcony. Well, long story short, nothing paranormal, but gravity got a hold of one of them, and it dropped on the bed. That did it for me. I was done with dolls at that point.
We did a private case.
What is it about dolls that freak everybody out?
They look like people.
They look at you all the time.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter what angle you're at. They're watching.
That's the thing I can remember the most. That and Chucky running around with a knife, and my sister's like, "Chucky's gonna get you, Ricky."
That was a great movie, though.
What's the thing? Why are people scared of AI? Or like not AI, but like cyborgs or whatever, because they look like people, but they move unnaturally and stuff like that. Like so naturally.
Well, it's that John P.
Yeah, so like
I
think that's what it is. I think dolls look enough like people to where you're like, yeah, like
that's suspicious.
Well, we did a private case where the lady collected dolls, and Shawna and I went back a couple weeks ago, and there was a new one in the window waiting for us.
Just staring at us, taking our souls.
I know, she changes them out every season. Oh.
Well, there is one little legend about dolls that I've heard that witches love dolls because they can trap the souls of the person inside of them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why people are afraid. Maybe that's what freaks them out about the dolls so much.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a doll though. Like you could wrap it into anything.
Yeah, but why would you want to trap it into anything? Why wouldn't you want to trap it inside of a vessel that looks like them? Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Maybe as well it goes like with the clown thing though, because it's a frozen emotion on the face.
Mm-hmm.
That dolls.
It could very well be.
Ooh.
Because there are a lot of people afraid of clowns too.
I know I have a niece that has a very bad phobia of clowns.
Oh yeah.
I like clowns though. They're my people, so
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Not those.
That was a good movie.
In a minute.
All right, Joe. Getting to that time where we can call this session done and then get into our bonus footage quick here.
Okay.
So, anybody want to plug anything? Websites, events, anything that you got going?
Yes, well, we Riverbend Paranormal, Indiana, got a big meet and greet up at the old Lake County Sheriff's Office up in Crown Point, Indiana, May 29th. Tickets are on sale now. I'll post some links later on to it. There's a link in our page, the Paranormal Worldwide Crew, that you can look at and check it out. Other than that, we as Riverbend, Indiana, we got a couple of things coming up. OSPH this weekend, Waverly Hills. We'll be going to get a few of us will be going to Gettysburg in August for the
Battlefield
Bash. And I believe some of the Riverband team members will be in Dallas in August for the Dallas Paracon as well.
Yep.
So those are a few things that we got coming up.
And
Texas thing is Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie Jones is the one that
Yes.
that put that
Natalie
together.
Jones.
She's also behind Paraflix.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So, Jamie, Shawna, Josh, anything you guys want to plug?
I don't.
If you're on
don't think
Facebook, you can join our group, Riverbend Paranormal. We're all on there. That's where we go live to. We also have a business page where we can go live as well. If you want to keep up with us, see what we're doing, see any events we have coming up, Right now I
Okay.
don't think we have anything public other than the Old South Pittsburgh on Saturday, but just watch
Mhm.
on Facebook and we'll post anything we're doing up on there.
All right, cool. Joseph?
Oh, we don't have a guest for Friday yet.
Working on it.
Next Friday, I want to plug this one for next Friday, anyways, because we've got that thing where it's we've got some guests. I'm trying to get to her name.
And not this
And
Friday.
No, it's next Friday. It's April 16th. We're gonna have a lady, Alex Wilkinson, from Paranormal Kicks Cancer.
Yeah, no, Alex.
It'll be a really good one. So I'll be putting something more out about that on Monday, and then don't forget to check out our website, utterlyinsaneproductions.com, for all your links to our shows, stuff we're doing, keep you updated, and don't forget to use the link there and subscribe to Paraflex, where you'll find us and a hell of a lot more of paranormal stuff.
Yep.
Awesome.
That link is up there now that you put it in there.
Yeah, it's right on the main
Okay.
page. Obviously, you weren't paying attention very well earlier. All right, till next time. Till next time, stay safe. Anything's possible.
Sure.
We are